It is the embodiment of Italian sports cars. Its engine was designed by former Formula One Ferrari engineer Paolo Martinelli. The emblem is based on the Fountain of Neptune, and the trident represents strength and vigor, which is at the core of the brand. This is, of course, the Maserati Gran Turismo Sport. This vehicle is equipped with a 4.7-liter V8 that produces a blistering 454 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. This propels the automobile from 0 to 60 in approximately 4.8 seconds. Now, it's also paired with a 6-speed ZF automatic transmission. In addition to that, it has different handling modes depending on the suspension mode that you place it in. So there's a sport mode that alters anything from the gearbox all the way to the suspension, to the throttle response, and the exhaust note. And my God, that exhaust note. Now let's talk about the exterior of the automobile. Italians have the formula for creating beautiful, exotic automobiles. With smooth curves accenting sharp lines, the Gran Turismo is anything but ordinary. This tamed aggression is what makes the car beautifully elegant yet fierce and powerful. This is a car that you park and walk away from, only to see people come up to take photos to post on Instagram. It's a car that will turn people's heads 180 degrees only to ask, what car did I just see? From the beautiful bi-xenon headlights with accented LED eyelashes to the aggressive smoke LED taillights and matte black exhaust tips, this car is stunning in every sense of the word. This particular model is equipped with a blue sophisticato paint color, which in my opinion is the most beautiful color that Maserati offers. Now, enough talking about the exterior, let's hop inside and talk about the interior. The interior of this automobile is almost as stunning as the exterior. This model is equipped with the Bianco Pregiato leather seats and carbon fiber trim that is standard on the Sport model. The seats are supple and hug you like a cradling mother cradles her newborn. The leather is soft and the bolstering is perfect for long road trips or days on the track. The signature trident is located in the middle with a center console that shows you useful information like gas mileage, speed, and tire pressure. The center console flows through smoothly and is representative of the company's design language. The back seats are tight, but large enough to fit 2 large adults for a short time. Legroom is sufficient, and the suede roof provides proper comfort to tall individuals, as well as a middle armrest with rear air vents and center cup holders. More than enough for individuals who purchase this car. Now for the downsides. The gauges are good, but they are not as amazing as the rest of the car. They are simple and informative, but that's where it ends. Maserati could have placed more design into the gauges, and the same applies to the center console infotainment screen, which is again good, but not great. The buttons all feel high quality, but the entertainment system doesn't come close to its German competitors. But then again, who cares? But none of that matters. You know why? Because of that. Because this car is phenomenal and exceptional in every single way. I mean, all of its drawbacks, the infotainment system isn't great, and the ride is pretty low, you can scuff it pretty easily. None of that matters because as soon as you press on the throttle, it's instant pleasure, instant power, and that's not even in sport mode. Let's try it out in sport mode and see what happens. Put it in sport mode and see what happens. You ready for this? Wow. Okay. All right, that's not using the paddle shifters. That's just me stomping on the pedal. Wow. That is magnificent. Oh my God. And that is why this car is amazing. And there's nothing wrong with it. And everything that is can be discounted because that doesn't matter. This car isn't made to have an interesting infotainment system. No, it's meant to be a grand tour that is so amazingly fun. And that's what it is. It's not perfect. And no car is perfect, and I wouldn't actually use this as a daily driver because it's way too damn low to the ground. It's super exotic. You can get it scratched, you can get dust on. Like, it's not a daily driver by any means. And that's really what a Grand Tour is. But at the same time, that doesn't matter, because when you do have a chance to take this out on the road and have fun with it, it will put a smile on your face from ear to ear. As you can see while I'm driving, it's phenomenal. And there's nothing wrong with the car. It handles and it accelerates in a way that every exotic car would accelerate. And there's nothing else that you could want from this car. Because if you want a better infotainment system, go get a Chrysler, go get a Toyota. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It still works well for what you do, and it has GPS, which not a lot of exotic cars even have these days. So it has everything you need to know. The gauges, actually, they've grown on me. They look pretty good. And none of that matters again, because when you stop on the accelerator and you hear that sound, everything disappears. Nothing matters. Nothing is important, as you are in one with the car, and this is the perfect driver's car. This is the car enthusiast automobile that everybody wants to own, and I really have no complaints for it. It's fantastic. The sound does go down when you take it out of sport mode. It's not as loud. You don't hear it too much on the inside, but I just shut it off and listen to this. So it does have, I think, valves that close and open depending on how loud you want the exhaust to be, and sport mode does regulate that, which is great, because it could get a little bit loud, but I can't complain. I really, there's nothing wrong with this car, and I would love to daily drive this car if I had the money to do so. When the Maserati Gran Turismo first came out in 2007, it was meant to be the replacement for the Maserati Coupe. However, it sat 14 inches longer, an inch wider, 2 inches taller, and up to 550 pounds heavier than its predecessor. But that was okay, because they weren't creating this car to compete with the Porsche 911. They were creating it to be the ultimate Grand Tour, and that's what it is. This car is as comfortable as it can be to be a daily driver. You're sitting in these seats, and although they have very strong bolstering, they really do cradle you like a newborn baby is cradled by her mother. You're sitting so comfortably, and the position isn't too low, but it's not high either. You can take any curve at any speed and know that this car can handle, because the handling on this car, just going 40 miles an hour, you can already feel how stiff the suspension is. But it's not stiff to the extent that you are jarred every time you hit a speed bump or a dip in the road, but you're just confident is the best word that I can describe. You're very confident on the road that you can take on anything that comes its way, whether that's a supercar that pulls up next to you, or as a matter of fact, if you want to go get groceries, you can just jump in this car and go and get some groceries. Let's do another pull in sport mode, shall we? I love it. I love it. And it's not the quickest car out there. No, it's not. And I feel like the transmission is maybe a little bit slow to downshift. It is a ZF transmission, which I love ZF. They do the best job with being a non-dual clutch transmission, but at the same time shifting faster than even dual clutch transmissions do. But you know, that could be my fault. I don't want to put it all the way down to the floor just because I'm scared of it spinning out and losing control of the car. But it doesn't matter if it's the fastest car out there, if it's going to beat a Maserati, you know, the MC, or if it's going to beat a Porsche 911 or Mercedes AMG. The point comes down to the fact that it's still such an entertaining vehicle to drive, and there's really no complaints. I seriously just love driving this car. And that brings me to my last point, which is price. The Maserati Gran Turismo is priced at $130,000 brand new. For that price, you can get a Mercedes AMG GT or a Porsche 911. My argument is that the Maserati Gran Turismo is a much better value for a car. For $130,000, you can buy a Porsche or a Mercedes. However, both of those brands sell cheaper cars. The CLA comes to mind, around $29,000, and so does the Porsche Boxster, around $60,000. Now, nobody's confusing a Porsche 911 and a Boxster, or a CLA and a Mercedes AMG GT, but the point being is that you see those brands every single day. Because you see Mercedes CLAs every day, you do see Porsche Boxsters pretty often, or used Porsches that have depreciated in value, but you don't see a Maserati every single day. So when you look at a Maserati and a Porsche 911 right next to each other, your eye is going to be drawn immediately to the Maserati Gran Turismo. Because although the Porsche may be quicker and it's much better handling around the track, the Maserati is more exotic and more stunning. And that's because this is practically a Ferrari California inside and out, but for half the price. You see, people don't really understand what Maserati is, and that's what makes it confusing, and that's what makes it interesting, because people, when they are confused, they're interested. People don't know where Maserati sits on the spectrum of luxury cars. You have luxury cars like Mercedes, and then you have exotic cars like Ferraris. People don't really know where Maserati sits on that scale, and for that reason, that confusion leads them to want to know more about that automobile. And that's why you'll see people turn their heads 180 degrees when they see this car, because of how stunning and exquisite this automobile really is. It's much better looking than a Ferrari California, in my opinion, and it's much more confusing and interesting. People know what a Porsche is because they see one every day. People know what a Mercedes is because they see one every day, but they don't know what a Maserati is. And for that reason, I would much rather drive a Maserati Gran Turismo for $130,000 than a Porsche 911 or a Mercedes AMG GT. Yes, its reliability is more questionable than a Mercedes or a Porsche. Italian automobiles are known for their reliability, specifically since it's owned by Fiat Chrysler. However, what it lacks in reliability, it makes up for in stunning factor. This car is much more stunning than a Porsche and a Mercedes. And if you are looking for a car that is going to turn heads and is going to be exotic and different, and you won't find every day on the streets, this is hands down the number one choice to make, is to get a Maserati. $130,000 will buy you a lot of different cars, but none of them will have as much of a stunning factor as this car. It is stunning in every sense of the word. Porsche and Mercedes are great cars, and they're faster, and they're probably much more reliable. However, they're not as fun, and they're not as exotic as this car is. So if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for something powerful, if you're looking for something with an amazing sound, I would hands down recommend the Maserati Gran Turismo. So now let's talk about my ratings. For the exterior of the car, I would rate it a 10 out of 10. If there was a 20 out of 10 or a million out of 10, I would use that rating because the exterior is stunning. It is a beautiful automobile with the curves accenting the aggression and the Maserati Trident emblem on the front. It is a beautiful car in every sense of the word. As for the interior rating of this car, I would place it at a 9 out of 10. It's beautiful. I love the carbon fiber accents. The steering wheel with the 10 and 2 notches are perfect. It's very sturdy. It's as if it's made out of concrete. It's an amazing steering wheel. I've never sat in a car with a steering wheel like this. And the paddle shifters that are mounted to the steering column are accented with aluminum. They're perfect, and they're large and very easy to access. But what brings it down a notch is the infotainment system. It's not a touchscreen. It uses knobs to select different things, and the navigation is nice, but it really is just lacking. It's an old days navigation system, and I think that it could use improvement, and I'm sure in the next generation model they'll improve the navigation and the infotainment system. But at the end of the day, who cares? Nobody looks at this car for its infotainment system. You're not going to buy it because you like the graphics of the GPS. You're going to buy this car because of the sound, because of the power, because of the looks, because of the feeling. It's a totally different reason to buy this car. So for that reason, I do mark it down 9 out of 10. But at the end of the day, I think it's a stupid thing to mark down, and for that reason, I will still recommend this car wholeheartedly because it's amazing. Now, I want your opinion on this automobile. What do you think? Would you take this over a Mercedes AMG GT or a Porsche 911? They're about the same price, and yes, those cars are faster, but this car is much more stunning. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're stopping in for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe. There will be future videos coming, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Take care.